All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Beyond E-commerce podcast. Today we have with us Sevon Williams. How are you today, Sevon?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Thank you for having me, Miss Netta.
Awesome. I'm thankful because we've been trying to link up for a couple of weeks, and I was just like, it just wasn't connecting. So we finally got together and able to do a virtual interview.
Absolutely. Right on time.
Yes, exactly. On God's time, honestly. So I'm sitting here thinking about what you got going on, and I see a lot of passion, but I'm not quite sure where that passion came from concerning your car. So let's take a step back. What was really connecting you to want to develop a product?
Well, to begin with, I always, from the beginning, call myself a parentpreneur. So I'm a parent first and then entrepreneur second. I feel like a lot of times as entrepreneurs, not saying that they aren't great parents, because many of us are outstanding parents, but we can easily put the business in front of the family, or we put
Right.
what we got to handle in our business sometimes in front of our children. And I'm like the other way around. So, like, even to the point where all of my businesses are centered around success. Success is my son's name. So whether it's my credit repair and business consultant, that's IC. Our brand, our clothing brand is Success Don't Sleep. A podcast, the Birth of Success podcast. Our first ebook that we came out with, Success is My Middle Name. So everything is centered around success simply because I wanted to build a brand around what I do and like being a parent, because I've been there since like literally day negative 180. So I've been there from day one, for real, for real. So I
So
just
you've
felt like
always
it was,
wanted to be a parent?
huh?
You've always wanted to be a parent?
I wouldn't say I always wanted to be a parent, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when it was time to become a parent, it's like, okay, I remember at the time my fiance was pregnant and I was reading a book, Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success by Steve Harvey. And that's what made me say, okay, I'm going to name it Success. And then I remember when it was getting to the time once when he was in the process of being born, we was out in Kansas City away from everybody, away from our entire family. So
Oh,
it wasn't
wow.
nobody ever like really checking on us or seeing us. My mom came to visit one time, but due to the snow and her being down here in Atlanta, Jess' mom is like a traveling like surgical tech, so she's always traveling a lot in regards with her profession. And our friends just never really came up. Not saying that they was obligated to, because they
Right.
was doing that.
But support
We
means
was
everything.
yeah. So it was tough initially. This is even before he was born. It was tough just being out there. It's like I'm from the city, so I'm from Atlanta. She's from Maryland, like the Ocean City part of Maryland, and being in Kansas City just wasn't what we were used to. I was up there working. That was my only reason for being up there, was in regards to work. But I felt like I learned so much being there, and I read so many books, and I just felt like I was enlightened by being there. I was exactly where I needed to be. So
Amen to
at the
that.
time, Success was born in Shawnee Mission Hospital in Kansas. And once he was born, it was like, okay, we already knew that the plan was to be up there 1 year and then come back. I was up there a little longer than 1 year, but once he was born, it's like, all
Right.
right. Yeah, it's like, all right, we got like 6 months. The lease is up in 6 months. We got to get back home because it's just us up here.
You need
So
that support.
it's
Yes.
somewhat like we experienced the pandemic a year before it even happened, because he was born in the wintertime, so it's freezing cold, so you're not going outside, and it was only us up there. So it was just we staying inside and just learning to be a parent, learning what it means and how to do things, and that's what helped even come out with my podcast, where it's like, what is the birth of success? It can be the birth of an idea, the birth of a relationship, the birth of a business, or a birth of a child. And then we got to learn these things like systems, like how important a village is, how important the support system is. How do you even am I holding the child's head right when I first am holding them?
Right. It's like
What
a
they might be
FaceTime. Let me
allergic to.
FaceTime you real quick.
Yeah, so it's just like being a parent to me made me evolve to such a
Yeah.
greater being. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm forever grateful for that. But I'm a parentpreneur, so the passion is just in me.
Okay, so you were feeling a little bit of this isolation before the pandemic came. So does that mean that idea was being birthed with success, or you kind of put it in your back pocket and you were like, I'm going to focus on you? How did this idea develop for the cards?
Oh no. So the cards didn't come until well after success was born. So we had the clothing brand, the podcast. The cards came after the ebook, and I was like, obviously, I was already in the financial literacy space, and I'm dealing with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of parents. And I'm like, okay, it's important for the parents to get their credit in order to know financial literacy. But I always say between the old school and the new school, our children, it's a gap. It's up
Mm.
to us to bridge the gap. The
Wait,
old
what
school,
gap?
they
You
so
speeding past us right there with that financial literacy because everybody ain't got it. So I'm like,
no,
what
no,
gap
no.
you talking
So
about?
when I say gap, not even speaking on financial literacy, it is
Mm-hmm.
a gap within financial literacy because the old school they believe in doing things one way. The
Right.
new school they're more technology advanced. However, it's up to us to be able to bridge the gap. The gap meaning the values, the morals that's passed
Mm.
down from the old school to get to the new school. The new school know how to do everything with these tablets, know how to do everything. They just smarter. They just
I lie
smarter out
about
the
that.
gate.
Right.
However, I don't know if I could say, and I don't know if it's a fact that the world is crazier now, but it's just more exposure. So they exposed to a lot more things that our grandparents wasn't exposed to necessarily,
Right.
not in regards to technology. So they seeing a lot more things at an early age. And it's something that the parents can only, it's only so much that we can try and filter at this point. So with
Right.
us bridging the gap, we gotta be teachers. I always looked at me being a parent means I'm the teacher.
Right.
So everything that I was learning when I was saying success don't sleep and things like that, that meant like it's two ways because when he was tired, when he would go to sleep, that's when I'll be up. I'll be watching courses, I'll be reading,
Right.
I'll be on YouTube, as well as success don't sleep, meaning once we accomplish a goal,
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly grateful, but I'm never satisfied. I just write some more down, and then we can always do better. Even
Right.
if within your own family, once you got everything handled for your family, why not help your neighbor? Why not
Right.
help
Right.
the
Right. Right.
next family? Like success don't sleep. There's no mark on success unless you just comfortable. And
Okay.
me, I'm really never comfortable.
So the thought comes, and then the thought comes, or the idea comes a couple years after success is born.
After yeah, well, so I always knew I wanted to do flashcards or
Mm-hmm.
some type of way where I can help bridge more so where the parents is interacting with the children. I
Okay.
want parents to be able to interact with the children because when I was working at Social Security, I would see like a lot of young kids, like 18, 19, homeless. And I would always ask them, or I would deal with a lot of people that had disabilities, that had, you know, mental health problems, things of that nature. But I would ask them
Wow.
questions. I'm on the other end. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that's asking them questions, getting to see them face to face every day for like 4 years, and they would always come back to something that either happened when they was younger or
Mm-hmm.
something in regards to they didn't have a family around or they didn't have any family. So the family aspect always has been super important for me because
Mm-hmm.
my family, I have a big family. Like we've always, what's the best way to say it? Like
You
we've
always
always
had
done
like
things
family
together.
reunions and things like that.
Yeah, we've always held it down for each other. Like
Mm.
we've always supported each other. If somebody has something going on out of town, the family probably we showing up. Like it's
Okay.
always been like that.
Y'all
Supporting.
still tight knit. Not a lot of families are like that.
And I noticed that as I've gotten older. But
Yeah.
growing up, I didn't know. Like I
Right.
would have never.
Right.
You would have thought like, okay, you got some families where it's like the cousins and everybody live together. That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the case for us, but I have three sisters, and even my cousins, we would always see them on the holidays, or we would always see them, and we treated them as such, as if they were sisters or brothers.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. That's
but
how we was raised with our cousins too.
Yeah, but I guess as I got older, I realized like how much of a blessing that is because some people, whether they only childs or whether they do have siblings, they just don't interact and mesh with their siblings like that, and
Yeah.
it's more like they may have beef with their siblings. So
Like they
that
associates. Sometimes it's on,
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it's off.
And it's like, man, I didn't even know you had a brother, or I
Right.
didn't even know you had this because you don't even speak on them.
Right,
So
right.
I always felt like I was very grateful for that. But
Mm-hmm.
I know the children look up to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
So me, I'm always watching success. I'm always looking to see the moment he started paying attention to his tablet. Oh, he liked the tablet. Okay, let me create some type of product. Let me create some product, learning product. So if he on
Wow.
that
I
tablet,
never thought
that's
about that.
that's exactly what he gonna be on, and that's
Yeah.
how the flashcard came about, based off of him being on the tablet and just saying, okay, if he on the tablet, I know other kids love their tablet, so
Right.
let me create some type of product, and it started off as a digital product.
Mm-hmm.
Then my wife was like, "Nah, with flashcards, you gotta have some tangible so you can show them."
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, you right." And then she took it.
Y'all was in that kitchen cooking. Like,
Yeah, so she took it from like what it was to
right.
the tangible cards where they like not the paper cards. They not they more so glossy. Let me see. So
Mm.
you can't rip them. They not gonna bend up or nothing like that.
Right.
She made them like super. She pretty much made it physical. So once she
Right.
made them physical, it's
She
like
got the
okay, it's
right, she
on.
got the right quality, the right
The
quantity. You
per
realize
the
all those
boxes.
things come.
So even with like the boxes, she
Mm-hmm.
customized like the box, and then this is
Right.
success back here, right here in the back. Then obviously like a
Oh.
little animated picture of me,
Yeah, so they
but
know what
she
it
did all
is.
of this.
Absolutely. Now that I'm thinking about those cards, like those cards represent or they're symbolic to community for you. So, with the community being in line, you talked about your wife playing a role in it. Did y'all have a method of product development? Were y'all comparing it to another card as far as sales or
No,
anything like
like
that?
we just one
Pure
thing
heart.
led to another, and it
Yeah.
just like it's just one thing led to another. That's all I can. It's hard to even come about with. I knew how I wanted it when I came up with the words. Even my aunt Picola, she's an educator for like she's been educating for like 30 years. She retired
Mm-hmm.
now, but I even reached out to her and then she put in my mindset like, okay, well, you don't want to make the words too, or she asked me a question of like, okay, so what's the age group for this? Like I
Right.
said, initially when I created the card, I just said I want to make financial literacy flashcards for kids. So then
Mm-hmm.
when they respond back and they like, well, what age group kids? I'm like,
Yeah.
I ain't never think it. I
It
didn't
makes the
think I
biggest
hadn't thought
difference.
that far. I just know what I want to make.
Right.
So then I come up with the words, come up with the definitions, and then they say, well, these definitions might be too complex for this age group. But I'm like,
Mm.
well, these words not
So you
necessarily for
had
success.
so you had a group of people that you sent out that sample to, and they sent you some feedback, or this is just
Well, so this
the
is
people.
this is before the cards was actually tangible. This is
Mm-hmm.
before I pushed them out as digital. I just sent them to my aunt. I remember, I can't believe I have never told this story. So the cards came about when I had COVID. When I caught COVID, me and my mom
Mm.
caught COVID at the same time. And I literally created the cards. I always knew I wanted to make the cards. And
Right.
I've been saying all summer from May until August when we caught COVID, man, I want to make financial, I'm gonna make these cards. I'm gonna make these cards.
Oh
And
man,
it
not
took
not
for me
the.
to actually get
Mm.
COVID, and then me and my mom caught COVID at the same time. So initially, they was created at the time when I was away from success. The one time where I was away from success for like 14 days because
Mm-hmm.
we was quarantining together, and then that was almost like a death scare in regards to my mom. We had to take her to the ER,
Oh
things like
wow.
that. But she
But
was right there
you were
helping me,
quarantined with her.
huh?
Were you
Yeah,
quarantining with her? Yeah.
I said God gave me COVID. The thing is, I never really even go. I don't be moving around like that because I'm always
Mm-hmm.
with this. So like even how I got COVID is hard. I don't know. People was like, "Well, how you get?" I'm like, I don't know. The only people that I had seen that weekend was my dad, which I
Mm-hmm.
know like he has dialysis, so he can't mess around. He don't be moving around like that. And then
Right.
I see my mom. So I don't know who got it or whatever. It didn't matter to me
Right.
because I got it first, and then my sister called me and she said, "Hey, you spoke to mommy? Like she ain't sounding right. Something,
Mm,
something." She didn't ever call me and tell me that she
mm.
might have COVID, but I could tell when I talked to her, like something going on over there. So after about 2 days, when she was waiting on her results, I said, "All right, well, if you got it, I'm gonna just come down there and stay with you so we can quarantine together."
Okay. So you
Now,
came all the way from Kansas City to.
no, no, no. I was already moved. I already had moved to it.
Okay. So
This,
this
but
is
I'm living Dunwoody. She live in Riverdale.
okay.
So it's about an hour, 50 minutes away. But it's like, okay, I need to quarantine because I don't need to be around Success and
Yeah.
Jess. I don't need to be around my wife and kid. And I got
Mm-hmm.
COVID, but my mom got it too, and she in the house by herself. So I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me go
Somebody
down
needs to
here.
have their eyes on her.
Yeah, yeah, that's initially what I'm thinking. I'm like, we can get through it together. Now, this is the grace of God. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I ain't never told nobody. That's when the cards got made, right then and
Mm.
there.
So you're
But
quarantining and like coming up with the type of paper and things like that that you want to print it out on. Like you're finding like this has to happen or it has to happen.
quarantining, and I'm up with my VA, so my virtual assistant, and I'm telling him, I had been telling him like we want to do this, we want to do that. Um, but it's like, okay, let's get it done now. I
Right.
wasn't
Right.
sleeping during the COVID time. Like I barely was sleeping. I was probably taking
Really.
like 3 hours it, every 3 days sleeping. But I'm up with him because during the nighttime, it's daytime over here.
Right.
So
Right.
we going over different things. Then when he was creating the images, I'm able to show my mom on the computer. I'm able to show her on the phone, like, look at this. And she like, oh yeah, okay, we'll change this. And then she said, she was the one who
Oh my
told me,
gosh.
ask your aunt Picola. She said, ask your aunt Picola, because I'm like, okay, Picola used to teach everything from elementary up like 30 years. You gonna
Yeah.
talk pretty much every grade.
They
So, and you gonna
did. They
tutor to
did.
everybody.
this these days you only teach one, but back in the day, baby, they was
Yeah.
everywhere up
She
and through them schools.
Absolutely. So she was like, I sent the information over to Picola, and she was, I don't know what ended up happening,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it was her phone or me trying to send the file and it was too big, but she wasn't able to really critique it too much. But
Mm-hmm.
I end up still going through with it. Like she gave some advice, like I said, just asking me questions that I didn't
Right.
even think about. Like, so what's the age group? Because if you gonna make it, success age, you're gonna have to make it on a real basic level. But
Right.
if you're making it for high schools or middle school, then it can be a little more complex. So that made me ponder for like a day, and I'm like, okay.
But it probably really didn't have to be like too much complex for middle and high school because they don't be knowing what be going on either.
And that's what I'm saying. It's adults that don't be knowing about financial
Right,
literacy.
right.
So I wasn't. I just like, okay, I know this is gonna be important, but they did make me say, okay, this not for success age. I said this isn't necessarily for success. This is for my niece and nephews, just like
Mm-hmm.
leaving middle school, going to high school, or in middle school, going to high school, and then just to jump a little ahead, that's why I created additional flashcards, the addition and subtraction, because I like, okay, this is more so for success, or success can count now, but he don't know how to add yet. So adding and
Right.
subtracting is next. So that's why I say, okay, I'm gonna make these flashcards for that. But the financial literacy is more so for older, I say preteens to teenagers.
Okay.
So that's necessarily how it started. Being we had both had COVID. Like I said, I could go on and on with a story of things
Right,
that
right. Yeah.
why I say God gave me COVID at the same time as my mom, because like we didn't know it was summertime, it was August. But at the
Mm-hmm.
time, she didn't tell nobody that her air wasn't working down there, so it was burning up in the
Mm.
house. So thank God I
Y'all was
came down
sweating it
there and
out for
fixed the
real. You
air.
had to get that
Yeah,
COVID up
and
out of you.
and I'm the last one. I'm the last one. Like
Mm-hmm.
my wife will tell you, I don't be putting stuff together or fixing stuff. I pay somebody to do that.
My
But when
husband's the
it came
same
down
way.
to it, it was like 90 degrees in the house, and both of us got COVID. And we was waiting for this piece to get sent in the mail. She had said she had been ordered, but it ain't got sent. And even when
Mm-hmm.
it came
And that's
in,
exactly what happened during COVID too. It was just like stuff was taking forever.
forever. Oh my goodness. I'm saying, I'm like, she was like, we cannot do it another day. I can't do it another day in here. It's like burning up. And by the grace of God, somehow, I was able to talk to the lady when the piece came in, because when the piece came in, the air still wasn't working. So then it was getting to the point where my mom had shortness of breath and
Oh my
everything.
God.
She like, nah, it's like, I'm like, all right, just sit down, just drink some water, cool out. I'm about to talk to the lady, I'm gonna fix it. And I had to go outside, go
And
do
figure
all
some
this
things
stuff with
out.
AC.
Don't that sound like entrepreneurship to you? You just like when it come down to it,
Sometimes you
got to
just got to
do
get
it.
it done. You just got
Right.
to get it done. But my whole thought process was, if I ain't have COVID, I would have been down here, because she wouldn't have
Yep.
told me to come down here while she had COVID.
Right.
So from that instance, as well as we had been trying to get her to go to get her seen at the doctors, and the doctors like kept on
Oh,
pushing it back and kept on pushing it
it was
back.
so bad in every sort of way because like even if you had a doctor that had like web services and then you can like zoom in to have a conversation with them or whatever. I remember one time it was actually my allergies. My allergies have gotten progressively worse and I had called and I was like, I'm having difficulty breathing. Like I don't feel like I'm breathing the same. And I called and they were like, yeah, you probably got COVID. At that time, everything was COVID. I was like, man, y'all need to do y'all
Yeah,
job,
they,
man.
they put everything on COVID, everything on COVID. And
And
then
everybody was backed up.
my mom is somebody that, at her age, what, like she's 65 now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say she's 64, but she walk a mile every day. She been doing that
Mm.
for years. So health wise, she always gonna try to eat more organic stuff. So she rarely ever gets sick, and she don't be going to the hospital because she don't ever be sick.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like, even my aunt was saying,
Well,
like,
the hospital is where all the sickness stays.
is it? So she was reluctant to go to the
Yep.
hospital as well. But it's like, okay, I'm here. I'm seeing what's going on. I'm able to monitor and see, like, if you having issues breathing or when you coughing and things of that nature. I'm still here to check on it while I still got COVID, like while I'm still battling it. But I'm like, it ain't as bad for me. But it came to a point where one morning she just was like, all right, I need to go. I need to go see the doctor. And one thing I can say about COVID is
Mm-hmm.
it just play on your mind. It had you super tired at times. And like, I remember the doctor had called, and I guess that it was a different doctor than who they said was gonna be calling.
Yep.
So she was like, "Nah, that's ain't you got the wrong number," and they just hung up. And I'm like, "No, that had to be who we need to talk
Yep.
to." Then we
It
tried to
was.
call them back for the next 2 days, and we couldn't get nobody on the phone. So at
Exactly.
this point, it's like it's getting worse and worse for her, and we saying like, okay, I'm calling everybody from
Right.
Henry
You could
County.
be calling people. You could be driving up there. No, wouldn't nobody
They
know.
wasn't going. They wasn't going. And then my
Yes.
Aunt Myrtle, everybody was like that was helping, was really helping. They reaching
Mm-hmm.
out to their resources. My aunt, she up in high places, so she know a couple people that's been doctors for like 30 years. But they were saying how busy it was due to the fact
Right.
that like in all these different cities, they was overpopulated.
Yep.
I finally got on the phone with one of the doctors, and they said like, okay, they was gonna do some screening to see if she could be seen. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
because
okay.
it was some type of test or some type of thing that she could have went and got, that my aunt had got, that's a little older than my mom, but she said as soon as she got it, she felt much better.
Mm. Her
They
steroids or
when
something.
we went through the screening, everything was cool
Mm-hmm.
until they was like, oh well, it says that you develop symptoms on this day, and you can't
Mm.
it can't be past 10 days. And at the time, that was the 10th day. Like, we was on day 10, and they was like,
Oh
well,
yeah,
and
for the vaccination.
yeah, if we scheduled something, it would have to be past the 10 day. And I'm like, what? So at that point, I remember sitting outside on the back porch with my mom, and she was like, "Well, baby, we tried." I'm like, "Nah, we gonna figure something out."
So
A
y'all
doctor
start
ended up
putting
calling us. A doctor ended up calling us from my
ah
aunt, and they end up talking to my mom, and they end up giving her like some tests to do, like walk into the bathroom and do this and do that. And they was like, "Look," they told me, "Young man, you need to take your mom to the ER right now. Don't go to
mm.
Southern Regional. Go up the north side. I live by north side. Go up the north side, but she need to go to the hospital
And
right
they
now.
will tell you, okay? They will tell you what hospital to go to, and
Just
that's
go to
exactly
north."
how it should be. That,
And it's like, and then thank God we went ahead, we did it,
mm-hmm.
and they found out that she had like what was it, pneumonia, COVID, where they had pneumonia. She had pneumonia in the lungs at the
Man,
time, but So she was in there for like 4 or 5 days. At the time, I think the next day I went ahead and got cleared. I was cleared, so I was back home. But
Right.
then when she left, I knew she was gonna have to go. So I went back. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I was clear of COVID, they told her
Right.
she had to wait like another 10 or 14 days to before she can even take another test. So I went back knowing that I was good. I was in the clear, but she still could have had COVID. But I'm like, somebody gotta be there to
Right.
watch her and make sure that everything is good. As things got better, probably like 5 days went by, and then she
Mm-hmm.
got stronger. She was like, all right, you can go ahead and go. But this whole time when I'm creating the stuff, this is when I'm away from success, away from my wife. It's like, and at the
It's
time we
like
was about to get
pressure.
married. Yeah,
Right. It's pressure. Yeah.
you talk about some pressure. At the time we wasn't even married yet. We about to get married in October in Hawaii, and in Hawaii they not playing with the COVID.
Oh,
Like
right.
if you got to either get vaccinated or take a test. And at the time I'm like, I can't get vaccinated because they told me if I get vaccinated and my mom not, like I can't be around my mom. So
Right.
I'm like, no, I wasn't really pressed to get vaccinated, but my wife wanted to get vaccinated, or my fiance wanted me to get vaccinated
Right.
just because she don't want it to be, I can't go to Hawaii, we can't have the wedding.
Yeah.
It was just a lot. It was a lot of,
Yeah, it
it
sounds
was a
like a
lot
lot
going on.
was going on. But what I do want to highlight, what I heard was that y'all are always in tune and looking for resources in the community,
Absolutely.
which is really important. So when I think about your cards, I'm thinking about what is the intended impact of your card. Now, let me ask, what has already been the impact of your cards and families that you make connections with? And then what is that intended impact as you continue to build out your brand?
As of now, the impact has been just starting a conversation, and
Mm-hmm.
we all, it's easy to say we need to have this conversation at the dinner table in the living room, things of that nature. But now it's like a tangible piece. As long as you got the
Right.
flashcards, it ain't really no excuse, and you can create games. Or I even have like instruction for the flashcards, because it's one thing to do in the living room, it's
Right.
another thing for teachers to be able to provide in the classroom in different ways where they can make incentives for the students to be able to learn these words. I like to call them, not, I think flashcards is like dumbing them down. I feel like they life learning cards or life
Mm.
lessons, because when you learning about assets, when you learning the importance of credit, when you
Right.
learning what a emergency fund is, the difference between needs and wants, it's more than just definitions. The parents can be able to actually explain and give examples to the children to
Right.
where they can talk about their past experiences, and now the children don't have to go through the trial and error. They can just learn directly from their teacher, which is the parent, or directly from a teacher. So
Right.
that's more so
So
the
they getting it
impact.
on multiple sides. That's exactly how the information needs to come. It needs to come from everybody because that's how they eventually absorb that information. So,
Absolutely.
with your business model, is that mostly business to business? Because I heard you say something about teachers. So, is that the intention, or is it intended for consumers?
Well, the intention was necessarily at first intended for consumers, but then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, what if parents don't have enough time to necessarily do it? Teachers, it's not that teachers usually, in regards to the curriculum, they only have so much access as to what they are even allowed to be able to teach in the school system. So
Right.
that's why I always say the parents are the first teachers. So we got to start in the
I
class. It got to
agree.
start in the home. However, for some teachers that might be teaching economics, that might be teaching things that may be financial literacy related, or where they feel like they can fill it in,
Right.
then it would be a perfect spot to be able to teach the children financial literacy, or be able to get them up on words. Like, so even for success age, what I do now is I'll just say the words, and then he just repeat the words for me. So I
Okay.
don't I don't have him doing like definitions, but I want him to get familiar with the vocabulary.
Right.
But children that's a little older, is more so you have them look at maybe 10 cards at a time, the first 10 cards, A through J or A through G, something like that. And then if you got siblings, you make it more of a competition, because again, I grew up with siblings, and
Right.
we make
Everything is a
everything a
competition.
game. Like everything is fun, everything is competition, because we want to make learning fun. We want
Right.
to make it to where it's like, okay, You know, we said the definition of what an emergency fund is, and the first one that guess what the word is, they get a point. And then it can be like, okay, the first one to get 5 wins. It is no limit to the games, but it does come with different instructions to be able to help assist teachers and assist parents to where they can interact with children. But the entire scope was
Mm-hmm.
for parents to be able to interact with their children. Like that's how it started. I wanted the parents to interact with the children.
Okay, so it improves that relationship from with any type of authority to the kids. So that
Mm-hmm.
is good to know. I kind of want to shift to what you are desiring the outcome to be or the impact to be. So we were talking a little before I started recording, and you talked
Mm-hmm.
about, on previous podcasts, you mostly talk about credit and things like that. But I'm wondering, how are you foreseeing getting more into this card game a little deeper? Does that mean you're looking into advertising more, doing partnerships with people? How do you build out that brand for yourself?
I definitely think in regards to partnerships, OPP, other people's platforms, as well as just um, promote. One thing I've always been big on is promoting others,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily promoting myself, not necessarily, but I don't mind promoting myself. But I'm
Right.
always
You
gonna
got
put the
to.
team. I want the team to win. So I would always say, no matter if I'm looked at as the coach, I can do the janitor where I do whatever position we gotta do for us to win. However, I know that now that I have actual products, I got to be more so in the forefront. And some people, like we were speaking about before, some people don't like to market or create content or to talk, and I don't have no issue with that. Like I don't. I was a speech major. I didn't graduate, but I was a speech major and a communications major in college. So I don't have no problem talking, especially because it's something I'm passionate about and something that I'm really living. So
Right.
it's not like something that I have to make up or act as if I'm doing this because literally people can look at my Instagram and see me and success. We together all day, every day, especially if
I
it's
definitely
not
see that.
outside. So this parentpreneur thing, even if you look when he was first born, or
Mm-hmm.
even before he was born, I would make stuff up. I would say stuff
Yeah.
like "success is on the way," but people didn't know that that's what I was gonna name him. They was just thinking I was talking about, success was on the way. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I would say partnerships for sure, and a lot of whether it's my aunt, whether it's shout out to Be Better, he helps me. I have a lot of different. My wife, of course, helps me, but they are within the team. But I'm looking to. I was never thinking about like white labeling it and it's like once you start something,
Right.
I learned from
No,
Todd Goodman.
wait a second with that white labeling, because you spoke about it a little bit earlier.
Uh
But
huh.
what is your understanding of white labeling, or what do you think of when you are saying white labeling? Like, what is
So
the
my
difference between that
understanding
and what you're
is
doing
white a
now?
white label product is okay. I create a product, but you want to put your brand on it. So now it's your product, but they paying me initially to put their product on something that I might have created, but it's theirs. So now they selling it as if
Mm,
it's they created.
okay,
Now
okay.
I
So
know with the
like a
white label, I
ghostwriter.
know in technical that you could like obviously license it out, or obviously
Mm-hmm.
you want to get a patent on it and then be able to license it out. And like I said, I've been trying to get a little bit more involved in that aspect of it, but because it's still so fresh,
Right.
um, like that intent was not necessarily to white label it, but then I kept on hearing other entrepreneurs like, man, I would love this, or
Yeah. Or just not necessarily those cards, but the process. Like, I can help you with A through Z. And then, I don't have to do all of the heavy lifting of putting the cards together.
absolutely. I've already come up with like for real estate. I can come up with real estate flashcards. My sister Jamila Mila's Cupcakes. We working on something for that. Like I'm a creator, so that's why I was never
I
worried about
really
white
get it.
labeling the cards because it's like okay, I can come out with 100 cards, so I can
It
come up with
honestly
different
sounds
products.
like a cute gift. Like, it kind of sounds like you could also use it as something like if you were trying to do something out of the ordinary for your spouse. and you're just like, put a story together with the flashcards or something like that.
I never even thought about that, but that's beautiful. No,
But
I didn't see that. See, that's
yeah.
why we gotta. That's why
Yeah.
partnerships is important, and being on other people platforms. And because I always say it's, multiple minds is always better than one. Things that I wasn't thinking about, somebody else might be thinking about.
Right.
And it's like, okay. And that's why I never mind sharing ideas, because like I tell people, hey, if I tell it to you, go ahead and run with it and do your
Right.
thing.
Right. What God has for you is what He has for you. In regards to your brand, one of the brands that it really reminds me of is Because of Them We Can. And with them, they have like flashcards, they have backpacks, they have celebrities that have built out the whole thing. Um, and they have a couple of other things. I can't remember what it was. But do you know of any of those brands that you are like modeling after, or you still like using the
Like
ideas?
literally, this is my first time hearing of that brand that you just named.
Really?
I don't. I've never, I don't know, I don't really be looking at what everybody else be doing, but I
Mm-hmm.
know I should, possibly I should, but I just, like I said, I create and it go from there. It just take off.
Right.
Todd Millie told me, shout out to Todd Billy. He told me, he said, just get started. You can get fancy later. A
Right.
lot of times we be wanting to perfect everything, and it's like, just get started. Create that product. And that
Yep.
one product, the digital product that we made, just simply because I seen success watching this tablet so much,
Right.
turned and evolved to this, to where now people saying like, no, I would love to this, or hey, can you make
Mm-hmm.
flashcards for me, like you said?
I
So it's
think it would be an awesome gift. Like, I think a good product development for that idea is to put a gift basket together with it, like an academic gift basket or something like that, that creates the experience. It's not just the flashcards, but when you're talking about community, like, what are these other elements that's just like, oh, that brand is like so thoughtful because they have all of these things. Like, it's the experience of the packaging. That's what it makes me think of, because I'm just like, the way you're so excited about the flashcards, I'm like, you talking about being pillars in people's lives and being able to communicate and being comfortable and being trustworthy and things like that with the cards. So I'm like, you got to build out an experience with that.
you right. You right. See, Netta, you brilliant. That's why I can't. I'm in a place to be right now. I knew that's, see. That's why, when we kept on having to push it back, it's like, okay, is this meant to be? I'm like, nah, it's definitely meant to be. I
Yeah.
told my boy, when we was at the morning meetup conference and you stood
Mhm.
up and you said what you did, I looked at my boy Mark like, that's exactly who I've been looking for. That's exactly who I need to talk to.
Not a message from God, message from the top.
From the top. And then I still didn't end up talking to you until we was, helping volunteering, and you was just right next to me then. And I had
Right.
told you I forgot to even ask about it. We just started
Right.
talking, but
We just serving. That's what he
that's
was. But
it.
yeah,
That's
I
it.
just
You gotta serve first. I always feel that way. Like the more you give, the more you get. And I really don't be wanting too much. I just want parents to interact with their children, because I know the
yeah.
importance of, as we get older, those children, let's say the parents ain't gonna be around forever, but the things
Right.
that we teach, those memories that we have, the memories that we share,
Right.
the exposure that we provide, like that's gonna be the things that the children will be able to tell their children, and the
Right.
values they'll be able to pass down to their children. Obviously, financial literacy is important, but
Right.
it's bigger than that for me. Like
Cause
we,
like you were talking about real estate and like all these other things. And what I think about is the fact that like games and things like board games and things like that really came back, due to COVID because everybody was in the house. But it's like, if I'm talking about a game that I want to play with my family, I gotta go to Target or Walmart or whatever. I get 5 different card games. It's like real inconvenient, or everybody gotta bring their own. So I'm like, why ain't nobody came up with a little, a little game gift bag, a
mm,
little bit of academic preparation, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's just like it comes all together. So I mean that makes sense to me, but that product development and all that is a whole different conversation.
absolutely. Now you're right. You're right. People haven't came up with, and then see, you name one of the things that I have been working on. Something else that we was working on during
Mm-hmm.
COVID, which is the board game. I don't know when that'll,
Mm.
but like I said, I just create. So
Right.
I was like, okay, let me just focus on some of the stuff that I do have. I don't
Right.
want to come out with 100 products at a time. However, I'm blessed. I would say that I'm blessed to be able. Success don't sleep, so I'm
Right.
always figuring out ways to create new things, and it's going to be a unique game when we do decide to actually put it out. No time soon, so we're not even putting a date on it. I
Yeah.
don't even want to say the name of it, but I already got the name for sure.
Yeah. The
But
name is always in your heart for sure.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But you're giving some amazing ideas. Could you, and this probably could be very helpful for your audience too. Could you ask me what I know about white labeling? What is white labeling to you, or what is white labeling, as well as like what's the process of getting something? Do you have to get a patent, and what's the process of doing that, as well as licensing? If you could answer that for me, and I'm sure it's gonna help your audience as well.
Yeah. So I actually don't white label. That's why I was asking you for clarity for it. What I do is
Mm.
I private label. So what that looks like is it's actually kind of similar to what you're saying. It's just a model and then you add your logo. So they might have already had it developed or some version of it in China or US based warehouses, depending on how much your product costs are. But you put your label on it, you might have a couple more specifications and all that, and it basically comes into manufacturing, and it happens a lot quicker. Now, the if it's really specific, that to me that means that the manufacturer, you have to have a really good relationship with the manufacturer firstly, but then you also got to be outputting a certain amount for them to be like doing that customization. And I put my private labels on Amazon and Walmart. So what that
Okay.
means is like you put together a whole campaign for those items to be listed on Amazon, try to get some eyes onto your product. But the thing I like about Amazon is that you have insights into the market. So if I were to put something together and I would be like, how much should I charge with this? Who all is my competition? What are my products? What are my costs going to be? And things like that. You can see that on Amazon. Now, if you were in the marketplace just by yourself, a lot of people, outsource to a marketing agency to like research all the information. But Amazon has access to that. So for me, private labeling is a little more simple because I have a little more context around what I'm getting myself into.
See, I was told on white label, and then I said, "Oh, I'm running with that." I didn't even know. I'm gonna have to do some research on this private label, on
Yeah,
this
I
private
mean,
label business.
see, the thing is, you could always do both. And what I would suggest is starting with the conservative side so you don't feel like there's so many details that you're missing when you're starting. So you start with the conservative side, which maybe white labeling for you, maybe private labeling, and then you move out and you get more control. But by that time, you have a little more of an audience on whatever platform you have, and you just build it out. But you don't want to start with like no steam and be like, I got 5,000 things to do and I don't even know where to start. Like, you
Where to
at
start?
least, yeah,
Exactly.
you at
That's
least
why I
let,
kind of just pump the
yeah,
brakes on even the thought process of, okay, now I know entrepreneurs that gonna reached out to me on that, but it's like, well, I feel like I haven't even went on much of a run to promote the cards just myself. So it's like,
yeah,
okay, let me wait before I start doing this or jumping into a lane that I'm not even familiar with just yet.
right.
Let me pull back from that
It's
and just,
definitely the wave though. It's
yeah.
definitely in style to be doing those cards. So you have to captivate the audience with that.
Absolutely. And I know, well, I know like for a lot of ebooks, people are doing like white labels or private labels on the
Really?
books. Yeah, on books.
No way. Me
Yeah.
thinking everybody
Wait,
writing their own book.
wait a minute. You think people is coming up with their own books? They are like, especially. Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Because we was
Because I
talking and
was
I said,
just thinking, like, I want to write a book, but it's gonna take me like 5 years.
no. Just like I was saying before, I'm like, man, I don't even want to get into the credit. Everybody be want to ask me about credit all the time. All of these, I haven't came out with a credit ebook just simply because everybody gonna came out with the same credit ebook, and that's because it's
Mm.
just white label. They just changed the name of
Okay,
it,
it makes
which
sense with that. I'm
the
thinking like you talk
information
about
is
people
still
writing about their
important
life.
though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
information is important and that's cool, but it's just like that kind of always steered me
Yeah.
away, even though I'm in the space. I
Right.
never wanted to come out with the same thing that everybody else coming out with, even
Right.
though I've even reached out to some people like, hey, bro, like, okay, I know you got the ebook. Just put me as an affiliate and I will sell you. I'll push your ebook, even though I work on
Right.
credit. I know I'm doing what I'm doing. I'll push
Right.
your ebook. But
Well,
sometimes, like, I don't
what
know,
is the
whatever.
intent of a credit ebook though? I just you like get tips and it tells you where to immediately implement the action or something. Like it's
Yeah, so I mean, it
it's
talks
giving
about the
brochure
structure.
to me. It's giving brochure to me. I just feel like if you're saying it's white label, that sounds like a brochure.
Yeah, but people can't tell. They changing it up. They changing it up. Like it's different colors. You change the title of the
Right.
book, but that you might add an extra page, or you can add a little more sauce. But the basics of
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you 5,000 people that got the same ebook that's selling, and then I
Sheesh.
got a couple of them. It's like, oh, this is the same thing. It's like okay, and then it's like okay, I know if you
Oh
selling the
man.
package, if you selling the credit package, and then you got the business credit, and you got the funding. Okay, I know where this came from. That's cool, but
Right.
I
You know after a
knock it
while.
because it's so many people that need it. So
Mm.
I'm the same one that's gonna be sharing it.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
this person coming out with this, and then my other person coming out with something similar, but it's a different title, different brand. Y'all make sure y'all go get that.
Right.
I've noticed that some people don't, and maybe that's a knock on me. This is something me and my wife talked about. Some people won't promote your stuff if you in the same industry because they feel like you taking away from what they might have going on, and maybe
You
that's a
know,
smart move.
I completely empathize with that though.
Yeah, but I've never been like that. My thing is like, if folks gonna come to me, they gonna come to me. What you doing and you promoting something, I want to always push you in the forefront because I want
Mm-hmm.
them to buy from you too. And if they come to you, I'm not tripping.
Yeah.
I,
I
I've never been like that.
I can certainly empathize because that's really like a scarcity mindset. But I feel like you have to be into a certain mindset or just sometimes like people are born with it, that's their personality, but other people they have to grow with it. Like that's me. I had to grow into it. But what Neo says all the time, he's just like, look at the bread aisle. I'm like, look at the
There
bread
you
aisle. You're
go.
absolutely right. Cause like
Absolutely.
honestly, you gotta buy bread when it comes down to being an entrepreneur. You gotta grow, and the only way you're gonna know in growing is for you to try a couple of things. Know your risk tolerance. So if it's something that you gotta put $10,000 into, and it might be volatile, like that might not be what you want to do. But as far as like competition pushes you, and in the way that you're talking about it, competition pushes your ability to share. Because they talked about that in Who Not How, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when he was partnering with somebody to write a book, like people would firstly would think like, why is he working with the ops? Like, why is he doing that? But after a while,
We
he's just
stronger
like,
together. We are
we playing off
absolutely
of each
stronger
other.
together.
Like, wait a minute, are we best friends?
And then
Yeah.
I look at it like this: something okay. Just because we in the same industry, don't mean we specialize in the same thing. If you great at taking inquiries off, and I can get the
Mm-hmm.
student loans off, now I can tell you some sauce, you can tell me some, and now we can benefit together. Like or vice versa. I might have
True.
trade lines. Your business may not necessarily have trade lines. So your clientele, you can still benefit from something that I might have going on, and I will even cut my prices to make it to where you can make profit because I'm all about collaboration. But I've noticed
Mm.
a few things being a parentpreneur, and like me, I'm real passionate behind like people that I work with. That's like even with my clients in regards to credit repair. I don't just work with anybody. Simply being if the people like they goals don't align with what I align with, then I probably would pass them to somebody else. So I wouldn't take them as a client
Mm-hmm.
just because it's like sometimes if you have clients that don't necessarily have the goals that's aligned with your mission, you can be fixing their credit, and then as soon as you fixing it, boom,
Right.
they applying for stuff. They just ripping it up. They rip it, and it's just wasting your time. And then
Right,
it's like,
right. You gotta have that
nah,
screening in it.
yeah, it's like, no, I'm not about to be doing this just for no reason. I'm
Right.
doing this because when we first initially talked, you said you was trying to move your family, like y'all was trying to get a home, or you was trying to do this to your
Oh my
business.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
let's
Sound
talk
good.
about what the goals are. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's something that's super important that is missing from some people in this credit industry, because it's a lot of people that's getting burned. It's a lot of folks that's getting scammed. I hear
Yeah.
people come to me all the time. Well, I had two credit people. I gave them $500. I waited a year and nothing happened. I'm
Mm.
like, okay, well, I gotta to even like eradicate that thought process. I got a 90-day rule. If you don't see no positive results in 90 days, you can have your money back. And
Mm.
I'm not even saying that I'm gonna take you as a client, because first we got to figure out, why do you even
Why
want
you
good
need
credit?
two
Like, why is
people,
it that you,
right?
what's the goal? Do you have
Right.
children? Like, if you got children, I'm more lenient to work with you, because again, I'm passionate about the children and helping the parents, because if I can better the parents' future, I can better the children's future.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I look at it. So
Mm.
it's a big community thing for me, but I always gotta stress, like, I got a whole vocabulary on stuff that I be saying, but I like to say that this ain't that. So what you might have been involved with prior to me
Right.
is different. And at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm not afraid to share some of my peers that's in the same space, or let you know, like, yeah, you want to go get an A mentorship. Like,
Right.
I done told people they're gonna try to ask me for one-on-one help to teach them on things. I'm like, look, I don't really have the time, and if I do, it might be $1,000 an hour. I'm gonna tell you straight up. But at the same
It
time,
is a crazy season right now.
yeah, but I'm like, at the same time, you can go check out Purple Heart Mark. He got a mentorship where you can at least get a month of call. You get 3 calls a week, or you can go check out Kendra. Kendra has a mentorship. You know, she giving out all the stuff. I'm gonna send you to other people, so you got
Right.
options, and not to where it's just, oh, you just gonna pay me or it ain't nothing. And I'm probably already giving you free information, but I'm saying for me to sit down and take time away from success, oh yeah, because I done took the time and stayed up many nights and sacrificed a lot to get in this position. So I'm always a student, but it's just like sometimes people got to understand, if you really want that hand by hand grab, that one by one or one on one time,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you got to pay to play.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real. So with the people asking you about white label,
Mhm.
is this a way that you're looking to develop your brand, or where do you foresee it going?
I feel like I foresee,
Where's
like
your
I gotta
vision?
look into
Like, where
private. I
is your
gotta look into
soul
private label.
taking you?
I gotta look into private labeling now, because I just do white label, because I know, like I said, from the ebooks, and I
Mm-hmm.
know from like so many people, but I don't
That
know
sounds
many people.
like that sounds like such a cheap way to do it though. It's like that, like I said, that's why I say it seems like a brochure, because it seems like, you might tweak a couple of things on there, but you really just providing the same, like you said, the
It's
information.
literally the same. It's the same thing, but
Yeah.
you gotta look at it like this. Your audience might not be my audience, so they
Right.
might not know about your book. But however, I done repackaged it up, and now they coming to me. It's the same information, and the information is useful. I'm not gonna act like, oh, it's not useful.
Right.
It's not super. It ain't gonna be the all and be all, but you can
But
get results from it.
people don't buy based off of information. They
They
buy based
buying
off
based
of,
off of the person
yeah.
anyhow. So yeah, it's just like
Yes.
an easier way to say, oh, like you said, man, it's gonna take me forever to write a book. It's like, nah,
Right.
nah. You just put your brand on there, and then you familiar
Somebody
with
was
it.
telling me that they were like, you need to go do a TED talk and write a book. I was like, write a book? How the heck am I gonna write a book? I've only been an entrepreneur since 2020. Like, what am I writing about? Struggle?
Hey, it's a lot of folks that's writing about. It's a lot of folks struggling though. So we
Yeah,
can
but
always
you, from what you're saying, they probably weren't telling me to write my own book. They were probably telling me to like white label it or something.
just white label. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one tip I could always say is, you don't necessarily have to write it either. What is it? Scribble, or it's some. I'll have to send you. It's some apps where you can literally just talk, and it'll
Mm.
write it in form. So you literally got your book wrote in like 48 hours just by talking.
Now, ain't that something? I ain't got that much
So
to talk about yet.
technology. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
All right. So this has been an excellent conversation. I've enjoyed it so much. I'm
Likewise.
actually going to do a little segment and ask you basically this or that. And
Okay.
then you can give the response, and you could tell us why, or you could just give the response. All right.
Okay.
So my first question is Sesame Street or Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes. Looney
Looney
Tunes.
Tunes.
When I think of Looney Tunes, I'm thinking Space Jam.
Uh-huh.
But for sure, success. Like he likes Elmo. So
Okay.
if I'm leaning on the parent side, I'm going Sesame Street.
Yeah,
But
it's
if
two
I'm
different
leaning on
generations.
my personal, I'm going Looney Tunes. Space Jam.
Okay, okay. Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla ice cream. I can only think about ice cream, but when you said chocolate, I was about to say chocolate. You didn't give me
I
what
did
kind
it.
of, what,
I
what
did it. I did it. So you said vanilla or chocolate?
just as a flavor, or are we talking ice cream?
Whatever.
Well, then if I'm going chocolate, I'm going chocolate. I'm going
Okay.
chocolate.
Chocolate. All right. Let's see. Would you prefer a car or a pickup truck?
Gas crazy. I'm going with the car. I'm going
Right
with
in
the
this
car.
current
But that's a
times.
no-brainer. I'm like, wait a
In this
minute. I
current
already told you
times.
I'm not the handyman. I'm going with the car. But I would get that pickup truck and we'll be doing
It looked
something.
good though. It looked
Yeah.
good. Okay. So a record, so like the records that they used to have in like the 70s or 80s,
The
or
big the round
yeah, the
records.
circular
Uh-huh.
ones, or
Vinyl.
vinyl, right? Vinyl record. You're right. A vinyl record or a magazine.
It's some classic about that vinyl record. Oh, wait. Would I rather? Are you asking me? Would I rather create one, or would I rather like read or have one?
It's up to you. It's just this or that.
I'm going vinyl record. You can't go
Vinyl
wrong.
record. All
Yeah,
right, all right, all right. You
yeah.
passed. A
Go
little bit of
wrong.
a quiz, a little quick round right there.
No,
All
I
right.
like that.
So give us a little, 10-second spiel about your business, what you got going on, what you want the people to know. Tell us all about it.
Okay. Sevon, aka the Father of Success. My Instagram is Father of Success 2020 for any parents or parentpreneurs out there that might need assistance in regards to your credit. Possibly you just trying to move your children out of the current school system that they are in, or out of the environment they in, and you need some help with improving your credit, whether it's you need some trade lines or you got collections, late payments, student loans, whatever the case may be. You can text me at 404-737-0790, and I certainly would love to assist you, with improving your future and improving your children's future. Now let me flip with the flashcards for anybody that would love to, interact with their children and teach them about financial literacy, and you just do not know a way to do it, or you don't have any kind of tangible products to do so. We have the Father of Success financial literacy flashcards. I like to call them life lesson cards because they more than just flashcards. They teach the children about life and things that they're going to be able to utilize as they grow older. These are available at fatherofsuccess.com. And you can actually put in freedom as the discount code, and it'll give you 50% off. I have them available as a digital product or as a tangible product, but just type in the word freedom and it'll give you 50% off. If you need them in your front door, they can be shipped, or if you need them on your tablet or iPhone, they can pop up on there as well.
Awesome, awesome. So it's
I know
all
you
just a
said 10
flash.
seconds, but
I
my
know it's
wife
all
always
good.
tell me, like, you too long-winded. You be talking too much.
No, you clarify it basically. It's not just a flash, it's a continual life
Yeah.
thing that you would
Yeah,
use
it's
forever and
definitely,
ever.
you talking about taxes. We in the pandemic. One of the cards you is unemployment. So like,
Right.
I just put things on there where it's like I want the children to be able to understand what it is that we going through. Let me see.
This
Here we go.
is this is
And this
definitely a
is
moment in
shout
history.
out to John. Okay.
Oh
This is the
man.
unemployment card with the
Oh
hand
man.
pockets in their pocket, hands in their pocket.
No, that design is amazing. All right, guys, this is another episode of Beyond E-commerce. I hope you find and fund your purpose through reselling on Amazon and Walmart. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Peace. Six.